Good day to our research advisor, Sir Gilbert Anthony O. Abanyo, and to the panelists. I am Jeremy Abayon and I would like to greet you all a pleasant day. We will be presenting our research study which is entitled Vegetable Nuggets with Spicy Mango Puree, together with my group mates, Miss Judeline S. Aducal, Miss Rachel May G. Arcina, Miss Kimberly Villagracia, and Miss Ingrid I. Villarico. Introduction. So the objective of this research aims to develop and promote a healthy and convenient way of eating by introducing a vegetable-based nugget that will address the need for a healthy vegetable snack and to increase the availability of the product. Statement of the problem. 1. What are the preference of the children and teens on nuggets in terms of aroma, appearance, color, texture, taste, and purchase intention? 2. What is the response of the children and teens on nuggets in terms of aroma, appearance, color, texture, taste, and purchase intention? And number 3, is there a significant difference on the sensory attribute between the existing original recipe? Summary of the methods. So at the phase 1, the preparation, we have here the methods of the identification and background for proposal topic of research, the procurement of raw materials, the components of ingredients and formulations, and the procedure of preparation of the product. At the phase 2, the data collection, we have here the methods, the descriptive and experimental, the provided methods of scoring and analysis, the provide scoring sheets to be filled out by the respondents, and the collection of the data. At the phase 3, the statistical treatment. So, statistical treatment using one-way ANOVA in SPSS, the final results with analysis and interpretation of data sensory evaluation. So, we have here the descriptive test and the hedonic test. At the phase 4, the calculation. So, the methods here are the summary of data with the following variables with levels of acceptability upon trial 1 to 3. So, the data was then calculated by ANOVA SPSS. And then at the phase 5, so the conclusion and development. So, research determined the overall sensorial distinction of adequacy and acceptability of the product. So, augmentative feedbacks from the respondents of the product's findings and recommendations. So, in addition, so provided picture documentation as evidence of research study.
For the continuation, I am Judeline Adrocal and I'm going to present the Chapter 4, Descriptive Test and Summary Table. For Table 7, Aroma Attribute, Treatment Recipe, T0 or in control. In Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.03 with the description mean of moderately pleasant. T1 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.33 with the description mean of moderately pleasant. T2 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.63 with the description mean of very pleasant. T3 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.57 with the description mean of very pleasant. For Table 8, Appearance Attribute, Treatment Recipe, T0 or in control. In Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.03 with the description mean of moderately presentable. T1 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.2 with the description mean of moderately presentable. T2 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.53 with the description mean of very much presentable. T3 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.9 with the description mean of very much presentable. For Table 9, Color Attributes, Treatment Recipe, T0 or in control. In Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.43 with the description mean of light brown. T1 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.2 with the description mean of light brown. T2 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.73 with the description mean of brown. T3 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.8 with the description mean of brown. For Table 10, Texture Attributes, in Treatment Recipe 3, T0 or in control. In Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.53 with the description mean of moderately crispy. T1 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.83 with the description mean of moderately crispy. T2 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.07 with the description mean of very much crispy. T3 in Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.53 with the description mean of very much crispy. For Table 11, Taste Attributes, Treatment Recipe T0 or in control in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.4 with a description mean of slightly sweet. T1 in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.33 with a description mean of slightly sweet. T2 in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.6 with a description mean of moderately sweet. T3 in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.8 with a description mean of moderately sweet. For table 12, purchase intention attribute description of the different treatment of vegetable nuggets with spicy mango puree. Treatment recipe T0 or in control in 3-1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 2.97 with a description of might accept the product. T1 in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.17 with a description mean of might accept the product. T2 in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.73 with the description mean of probably would accept the product. And T3 in trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 3.87 with a description mean of probably would accept the product. And it is the summary table.
Thank you, Ms. Adukal. Again, I am Rachel Mi Arsena and I am going to present the continuation of Chapter 4, which is the hedonic scale and summary table. So now, let's move on to Table 14 for aroma attribute. In treatment recipe TO or in control, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.43 with a description of neither like or dislike. In T1, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.87 with a description of like slightly. In T2, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.93 with a description of like slightly. In T3, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.93 with a description of like moderately. In Table 15, appearance attribute, in treatment recipe TO or in control, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.2 with a description of like slightly. In T1, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.2 with a description of like slightly. In T2, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.77 with a description of like moderately. In T3, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 6.23 with a description of like moderately. And for Table 16, color attribute, in treatment recipe TO or in control, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.13 with a description of neither like or dislike. In T1, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.82 with a description of like slightly. In T2, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.52 with a description of like moderately. In T3, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 6.13 with a description of like moderately. In Table 17, texture attribute, in treatment recipe TO or in control, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.17 with a description of neither like or dislike. In T1, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 4.57 with a description of like slightly. In T2, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.4 with a description of like slightly. In T3, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.67 with a description of like moderately. In Table 18, taste attribute, in treatment recipe T0 or in control, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.13 with a description of like slightly. In T1, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.7 with a description of like moderately. In T2, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 6.1 with a description of like moderately. In T3, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 6.33 with a description of like moderately. In Table 19, purchase intention attribute, in treatment recipe T0 or in control, Trial 1 to Trial 3, we have the average mean of 0.53 with a description of like slightly. In T1, trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.07 with a description of like slightly. In T2, trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.47 with a description of like slightly. In T3, trial 1 to trial 3, we have the average mean of 5.8 with a description of like moderately. And this is the table of summary.
I am Ingrid Fiorico and I am going to report the continuation of the summary table. So here in the table 21, the treatment statistics, the data summary, we have here the 6 variables, which is the aroma, appearance, color, texture, taste, and purchase intention. So here in the groups, we have here the T0 to T3, in the N, which is all of it has 3, in the mean, it also has the statistics and the standard error. So in the standard deviation, we have also here the statistics. So in the table 22, which is the summary of ANOVA, the ANOVA test results. So we have also the 6 variables, which is the aroma, appearance, color, texture, taste, and purchase intention. So in the source of variation, the between groups and within groups. So in the aroma, we have the sum of squares in between groups has 1.825. The within groups has 3.542. Overall total of aroma, sum of squares, is 5.367. In the DF, the between groups in aroma has 3 and the within groups has 26. Overall total is 29. In the mean square of aroma in between groups has 0.608 and the within groups has 0.136. So the between groups and the within groups has a frequency of 4.466 and has a p-value of 0.012. In the appearance, between groups sum of squares has 3.375 and the within groups has 5.290 and have an over total of 8.667. In the DF, appearance in between groups has 3, within groups has 26 and have an overall total of 29. The mean square of appearance, the between groups has 1.125 and the within groups has 0.205. In the appearance, only the between groups has a frequency of 5.528 and has a p-value of 0.005. So in the color, the between groups has sum of square of 0.300 and the between groups has 9.167 and have an overall total of 9.467. DF of color in between groups has 3 and the within groups has 29 and have an overall total of 29. In the mean square of between groups in color has 0.100 and the within groups has 3.53. In the frequency, the between group only has the 0.284 and has a p-value of 0.387. In the texture, the between groups has the sum of square of 3.425 and the within groups have 7.542 and have an overall total of 10.967. In the DF, texture in between groups has 3 and the within groups has 26 and have an overall total of 29. Mean square and between groups and textures has 1.142 and the within group has 0.290. So between groups and within groups has the same frequency of 3.936 and have a p-value of 0.019. In the taste, source of variation between groups has and sum of squares of 0.592 and the within groups has 6.875 and have an overall total of 7.467. In the DF, the between groups in taste has 3 and the within groups has 26 and have an overall total of 29. In mean square, the taste in between groups has 0.197 and the within groups of 0.264. And in the frequency between groups and within groups has the same of 0.746 and has a p-value of 0.535. In the last, the purchase intention, the between groups has sum of square of 3.250. The within group has 12.917 and has a total overall total of 16.167. In the DF, purchase intention in between groups has 3, the within groups has 26, and have an overall total of 29. So in the mean square, the between groups and purchase intention has 1.083, and the within groups has 0.497. And the between groups and the within groups of purchase intention has a frequency of 2.181 and has an overall p-value of 0.114. So that's all. The treatment statistics data summary and some ANOVA test results.
Thank you, Ms. Ingrid Villarico, for discussing about Chapter 4. And good day, everyone. I am Kimberly Villagrescia, and I will be discussing about Chapter 5 on summary, conclusion, and recommendation. Now, for summary, the descriptive and experimental method of the research was concluded and conducted. The customary technique of the survey was used and handed for collection and determining of data. For Trial 1, we had 10 respondents. For Trial 2, we had another 10 respondents. And for Trial 3, we had another 10 respondents, in a total of 30 respondents. 4 of them were food critics, which were skilled in experimenting new types of dishes from Alta Vista or Moc City, where the respondents of this research lived. After letting them test the variations of the product, they were handed scoring sheets showing the different scales from the different attributes of the product. This is to determine which version or trial will have the most scores and preferability. Next is we have conclusion. From the findings of our research, the sensory characteristic of the vegetable and chicken nuggets with spicy mango puree has the high potential to be approved for promoting local and organic product, which can also convey people and make use of it as a livelihood. Hence, we have to put in conclusion that the third attempt or trial, or T3, is the most accepted and recommended, considering it has the highest average mean of every variable, based on the collected, analyzed, and calculated data. Now lastly, we have the recommendation. The third trial with all the proposed existing ingredients with the final adjustment was eminently selected and approved by few recommendation with some few recommendations. Now here are the recommendations. Size precision, color and texture accuracy, sauce variations, quality labeling and packaging standards, and lastly, we have evaluation for approval permits. This is for salability and mass production if ever they're going to use it for livelihood. Now that will be all for Chapter 5. Thank you for listening, and God bless.